There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have the tickets in your wallet first before you drive 2 hours to the big game. Seriously, you had one job. Now the closest you'll get to the 50-yard line is parking lot D. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
So attention cricket clubs and cricketing family, are you ready to step up to the crease and make a long-lasting impact on your club's legacy? Listen up, we've got something special for you. Introducing Fund It Now, the revolutionary fundraising platform that's changing the game for cricket clubs everywhere. With Fund It Now, clubs of all sizes can create a lasting legacy by selling personalised plaques to their passionate members, supporters and cricket club family.
That's right, Livo. Fund It Now has already left its mark on some of cricket's most iconic venues like Lords, the home of cricket, Somerset County Cricket Club, and with projects such as the Father Time Wall and Somerset Legends Wall.
There's the best part, Hugh. There are absolutely no upfront costs. Fundraising has never been more simple or accessible.
Imagine walking around your club's ground or up to the pavilion and seeing a bespoke wall of dedication, celebrating the history of your club and supporting its future with every plaque. It's like your club's very own shrine to the sport we all love.
And getting involved couldn't be easier. Simply visit Fund It Now's website at funditnow.co.uk to get started today, or drop them an email at info@funditnow.co.uk to learn more. It's time to rally your supporters and start raising money like never before. And don't forget to tell them you heard it from us at the Premier League Cricket Show.
So what are you waiting for? Join the ranks of clubs and grounds like Somerset County Cricket Club and Lords and make your mark on cricket history.
Visit Fund It Now today and start building your fundraising platform. That's funditnow.co.uk. Fund It Now, where passion meets purpose at your cricket club, and begin creating your own legacy. So welcome everybody to the Premier League Cricket Show, and once again we've got another match weekend to look back at. Joining me as always, Mr. Hugh Newsome. How are you doing, Hugh?
All good, all good.
Interesting weekend. Let's get down to it straight away. Bit of weather all over the place. It's a bit of 6 and 2 threes, mate, isn't it?
We got lucky. Yeah, we had a 175th anniversary game yesterday that was glorious somehow.
Brilliant.
And then Saturday was all good as well. I'm out of action with a dodgy thumb, so I sat scoring and catching the sun. It was lovely. Yeah, it was like summer. And unfortunately, everywhere else in the country was rain dodging. Mostly, there's a few whole leagues gone, isn't there? Few 90% of leagues abandoned or cancelled. So yeah, I think we're pretty fortunate.
Definitely. But up in the northwest, joining us today with a league that I think they got away with it. Really, to be frank, when you look at the weather, did all right at the end, and quite remarkably, I'm going to point this out straight away. Every game on Saturday had a result as well. So welcome, Mr. Tom Evans, once again. How are you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Ian. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. We'll start straight there in the Liverpool comp, shall we, mate? Considering the format, it can't be that many weekends we get all the games on a Saturday with a result, can there?
No, I mean, I think the weather has helped in a way because it's made it easier for the bowlers to take 10 wickets. I think if you look back to the summer we had 2 years ago, there was a lot more draws in that summer than there was in a rain-affected one because teams could just bat out for the draw. Yeah. With a lot more ease when the pitches are a lot flatter. But yeah, I think, teams are used to having to get a wriggle on. I think if you look at Northern's game on Saturday, they batted first, they batted very quickly because they knew that it had been a delayed start and there was a bit more weather around. A side like that are well used to playing in sort of limited overs mode and getting a score, getting as many bonus points as you can quickly, and then sticking the other team in and giving yourself every chance.
Yeah, and let's be brutal about this. In the Liverpool Cup, though, there's not a lot of change despite the weather, despite what's cracking up in the league. There's not a lot of change up the top end, is there? With two of the top three the same from last year, being Ormskirk, who won it last year, and Northern in third place. It just seems to be the same two at the top with someone else jumping in this year.
Well, I think it's worth starting with the team that are jumping in this year, to be honest. I think Rainford only promoted. Last year was the first year after promotion. They finished fourth. They won the local cup, the Ray Digman Trophy, and their captain, John Dotters, told me it was the club's best ever season by a long way. They're looking like improving on it, to be honest. They had a catch-up game on Sunday for one of the rain-affected weeks early in the season, and they were 1 wicket shy of winning. If they'd won, they would have gone top, which is incredible for a club with no, without, look at the clubs they're competing with, your Ormskirks and your Northerns, they've got no pedigree to compare with them. It's a club made mostly of local players from the area. Yeah. They've got one overseas professional, a couple of other guys they've brought in, but it's the same core of the team that was playing in Division 1 2 years ago. To be competing with clubs the standard of Ormskirk and Northern up at the top, I think is an incredible achievement for them. Yeah,
most definitely. What's Mr. Dotters put that down to? It's a bit of a Leicester City there, isn't it, to come up and be able to compete at that top level? Has he put it down to anything in particular?
He's quite a self-effacing chap. He mostly puts it down to luck, I think. But he's, behind that, there's a lot more going on. He's an excellent bowler himself, excellent left-hand spinner, which is obviously crucial to have in this league. The top order has been in great form this season when a lot have struggled. A lot of sort of more heralded sides have struggled with the top orders, and they've just got the knack of taking 10 wickets, of defending tricky low totals and of chasing as well. They've been playing very well, grinding out results. One of their only defeats was to Northern the other week, and it was shortened by the rain. It was a delayed start. They got to 215, I think, and declared and put them in, and gave them that carrot. Northern chased it down very well, but it just goes. I think a lot of other teams in that position, even ones that weren't competing at the top, would have thought, we'll come away with this with a draw. And Rainford went for the win. It was it shows that their approach to the game is very attacking and very aggressive, and it's paying off for the time being.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a nice little gap there now between Northern in third place and Form being fourth place. There's almost 40 points between there. So it looks like the top three are going to just battle it out towards the end of the season. And it could boil down to availability and who's going to be made available on a Sunday for some of these big cup games that Ormskirk and Northern have got coming up and stuff like that as well, couldn't it?
Very much so, yeah. They're all competing on 4 fronts. Well, 4 fronts for Ormskirk, 3 for Northern. Because obviously Ormskirk and Northern are through to the quarterfinals of the national knockout. Ormskirk are in the semis of the Lancashire Cup and the semis of the Ray Digman Trophy as well. It's going to start, especially if the weather this July is similar to last July. It's going to be a lot of fixture pressure. But they've both got the squads to manage it. They're both very experienced at fighting on more than one front, and they've both been doing it very well so far.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds like an idea that you've had, I think, Hugh, for us to have a bit of an episode towards the end of the season, doesn't it, about building a squad?
Absolutely, yeah. Just a bit of a fantasy Premier League squad builder session. But yeah, so I think one for the winter, just get the captains together and pick put the perfect Premier League side together.
Can we have a caveat on that they're not allowed a slow left armour?
I think we might have 6 in each side. Yeah, a second bat as well. Yeah.
At the end of each season, I pick 12 and 11 with a sub. One player from each of the Premier Division clubs. So I do allow myself a spinner or two, but I do sort of tell myself to keep it balanced.
Well, we know who's going to manage the Liverpool competition fantasy team for us, don't we, Hugh?
There we go.
It's all done. Hey, let's have a look at the rest of the results around the Liverpool comp at the weekend, Hugh?
Yeah, well, we had 2 games on Sunday and a full complement on Saturday, which is a rarity. I mean, just going... I had a bit of a scan through all the leagues, and we lost Essex, most of the games gone. North East Premier League, most of the games gone. Home counties, most of the games gone. Surrey lost a few. East Anglia Premier League, complete washout. Middlesex, not pretty. So I think, that down south, so further north, with the exception of the North East Premier League, was a bit of a problem. But yeah, so great to have a full complement in the Liverpool competition this weekend. The result that jumped out at me was Ormskirk Formby. with Formby landing in a heap at 38 all out in 20 overs. Wasn't great. That's the lowest Premier League score of the weekend. But yeah, Ormskirk set 190 and in quick time and then skittled Formby. So, yeah.
Does that count as Carnage Corner for the week down at Formby, do you reckon?
I don't know. I mean, 20 overs, is that... It's not total carnage, is it? It's just...
No.
Yeah, it's not a slow death, but it's not...
It was death by 10 cuts that were only a few runs apart.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Ollie Sutton and Ian Cobain, the top 2 run scorers in the league at the moment. So they got knocked over for 10 and 1. So I think below that Formby, possibly a little fragile. Would you say that, Tom?
To be honest, I think Formby, man for man, have got the best top order in the league on paper. Sutton and Cobain, obviously the standouts. Tom Billington is a player they signed over the winter who's got a lot of runs at this level in other areas.
Not quite happened for him so far this season, has it?
Not yet. He's got a couple of 50s he's not really got going, but Sam Oldham has been scoring runs at Formby for years, and Ryan Brown's done very well since he joined from Nantwich a few years ago. So for Ormskirk to knock them over for that, that was incredible. I was speaking to Gary Knight, the captain, this morning. Sam Marsh, their seamer, took 9 for 18. Certainly in the comp is the best of the season. It's the joint third best since the split to 3 divisions.
It's also the highest in the country, this best figures in the country this season across all the Premier League. Yeah,
Gary Knight put a lot of Ormskirk's title success last year down to the performances of Sam Marsh. He thinks he doesn't always get the numbers he deserves, but he certainly did on Saturday. He took the first 8 as well, so he was on for all 10 for a while.
Yeah. Cheeky 2 overs to nick the one spare wicket, which was quite rude of him, I thought. Always think it's a bit disappointing when someone ruins a temper. But tell us about Sam, though. What's he like as a bowler? What's his style?
He's a right-arm seamer. He bowls... he's got a good short ball, sort of decent pace, but he mostly bowls wicket to wicket, which is what you have to do in this league, particularly on the tracks like they've been this season. And he's very sort of nagging, consistent, on a good length, top of off stump kind of bowler. And he's difficult to score off even when he's not getting wickets.
Yeah. So that was the sort of the highlights of the day, the standout of the day. But yeah, there's a few fairly chaotic games taking place. Yeah. Birkenhead put up 102 all out. New Brighton all out for 56, for 173 all out, and then Rainhill finished 81 for 9. So that was the tie. That was on Sunday. Also on Sunday, New Brighton got over 100 this time, 118 for 9, but Wigan well ahead. They got 223. But yeah, and then Wigan all out for 97 on Saturday, chasing Wallace's 71.
Angel weekend there for Wigan, isn't it?
Yeah, bit up and down, but at least they didn't do. New Brighton did and struggled both days. Then Southport's Northern was an interesting one. Northern 191 in that quick fire 191, and then bowled out Southport for 132. So that was a great effort by Northern. Is that more covered? Have I missed one? Rainhill, Newton Le Willows. There we go. Newton Le Willows 110 all out. Rainhill knocked him off very easily in 17 overs. Yeah,
I think what I'd point out there in that Northern game, as you said, against Southport and Birkdale, they elected to batted for just 29.5 overs to get to that 191, giving them as much chance as possible to be able to bowl Southport and Birkdale out, which we know is the right thing to do in this league when there's potentially weather around in particular. Liam Gray scored 70 off 54 and basically they were in T20 mode to get up to that score. But then who did they throw on to open the bowling? Thomas Sefton, 5 for 67, 22 over spell, non-stop from one end once again. And it just shows again that those spinners, Tom, they're the workhorses, but they do take the wickets as well, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure which track they were using at Southport, whether it's the one that was used for the county game earlier in the week. Obviously didn't get a full... I assume they would have used that one because they didn't get a full 4 days on it because, 1.5 days were rained off. The Lancashire game, the spinners are so crucial when the pitch isn't doing much, then they offer that control and, in Tom Sefton's case on Saturday, getting the wickets as well. So, they're just invaluable, aren't they? Elliot Usman got a 5 for as well for Rainhill. There's other spinners that did well. Avinash Yadav for Wigan got a few, I think, too.
750.
All slow left armers.
Another weekend of slow left-armers. Something will change eventually, won't it? It's got to change somehow. I'd like to start to see some fast left-armers instead. There's something beautiful about a left-arm seamer putting the ball in at someone's toes instead, isn't there?
I can't remember who it was basically saying that, if you have children, you just need to teach them to throw with your left arm, tie, a bit like they used to do in the old days with writing, anyone who wrote with their left hand, tie the right arm behind their back when they go down the cricket club and they press there, and then just get them, just gives them that head start into the game.
Yeah, most definitely.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Hey, should we look at one of the other leagues? Should we go all the way down the opposite end of the country, Hugh, and have a look at the Cornwall League, where I think they got away with the weather. I think it's fair to say down there.
They were due one, weren't they? They were due one.
I mean, I think we sort of class the Cornwall League as the unluckiest league in the country when it comes to weather this year, generally.
I mean, it's sticking out in the country.
They're doing all right, though, this year. And Wadebridge, who won the league last year, are back in 5th place at the moment. 21 points behind the leaders. It's tighter at the top than it first looks at first glance. Penzance are top, who came second last year, and they're 16 points ahead of Callington. But that 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th place are all within 5 points. So there's basically a game between them. It's an interesting looking league for me, that is, Hugh.
Just lost the one game this week in Helston St Just. They had a Duckworth Lewis.
Yeah.
A target of 95 from 22, and they were nowhere near getting that, but it then got abandoned. Saved them there. But yeah, we've got, if we start St Austell, Penzance. Penzance bowled out for 156. St Austell got it in 42 overs. So a nice win for them, 6 down. Daniel Jarman, 45, and Josh Kroom for Penzance, top scoring there with 34, so not the highest of scoring game. Truro Wadebridge 245 in their 50. Truro bowled out for 153, but Matt Rowe 112 off 148 balls, and Callum Wilson 4 for 23 for Wadebridge. Redruth, Callington 207, and then bowled out Redruth for 168. Graham Wagg 64, Matt Shepherd 4 for 32. And a 5 for in Redruth for Dulash Udaganga, 5 for 30, and Toby White for 51. And then at the top, we've got Warrington versus Camborne. Bit of a shootout, this one. Camborne put up 117 all outs, top score of 24. So it was a good effort to get to 117 with a top score of 24, and then bowled Warrington out for 71. More carnage there. Oh yeah, Martin Jenkins 6 for 14. For Camborne, Jordan Duke 5 for 29.
Yeah, and as you say, not the biggest, most highest scoring games that we've seen around the country down at Cornwall this weekend. But I'm going to just go over the border to a game that you pointed out. And for listeners who probably aren't aware of this, whilst we talk 5 or 6 leagues each week around the country, Hugh and I will exchange messages over the weekend and on a Monday morning about stuff we've seen across leagues all over the 32 Premier Leagues. I'm going to go over the border to the league leaders in Devon, to Bradninch and Kentisbeer, who decided at the weekend that this was the weekend they're going to blow everyone away by scoring 417 for 5 in their 50 overs, Hugh. I mean, that is some going, isn't it?
It's painful, isn't it? I think that we can only be pleased for Plimpton, who are on the wrong end of this, that it wasn't a stinking hot day. I think that's a nice temperature to stand in the field and watch the ball go over the fence. Yeah, there wasn't a huge amount of singles running this game, but we got Daniel Hardy there, 134 of 99, 14 fours, 8 sixes, strike rate of 135, and then Justin Wobbling, 46 off 21 at the ends. Everyone just came out swinging. Strike rates with only Mitchell Pugh with a strike rate of less than 100. I mean, don't know what he's doing, to be honest.
I think Mitchell Pugh could be in danger of being dropped next week with that strike rate.
I think we're talking fines for that low strike rate. So we'll see what's going on there. But then, poor old Plimpton bowled out for 99. As it often happens in those kind of games, it's demoralising to be on the wrong end of 400, isn't it?
It is. And can I just give a shout out to poor old Callum Williams, who opened the bowling for Plimpton and had it's the figures that no bowler wants to see. 10 overs, naught for 107. He got a ton the wrong way round. And all I can say is Tom Evans' face right now, head in hands. You just don't want to see that as a bowler, do you, Tom?
I think if I'd ever been trusted with 10 overs, I'd have been there a few times myself. But yeah.
I think we need to put a shout out, because this is a 15-year-old they've chucked in to open the bowling. I mean, whether they were sure or whether they've just pushed him up, obviously a talent coming through. We've got a 15-year-old opening the bowling and getting hammered like that, and they left him on for 10 overs. I think, I mean, whether he was quite happy getting smoked around the park, not like anyone else did particularly much better, but yeah. So good on him for getting stuck in, getting through his overs and going for a few.
Yeah, he'll be a better player for it.
He will do.
Yep.
Talking of young players, Tom, is there anyone you've seen this year who stood out? Young players in particular around the Liverpool and District Comp?
Well, at the Formby have got a young off-spinner, Archie Davis, an off-spinning all-rounder. He's just been picked for Lancashire's second 11 for the first time. Mm-hmm. He's impressed me a couple of times. I've seen him, both with bat and ball. He's one who he really sticks at it. He really, he's very, very, very persistent as a bowler. Yeah, he's got a good range of shots as well. So I'm looking out for him. And also, there were runs again at the weekend for Adnan Mirkel from Wigan, the guy who came to the country as a refugee a few years ago. He was on the TV show with Andrew Flintoff, and he's having a bit of a, I hesitate to call it a breakthrough season because he was very good last year as well, but he's doing very well, in particular this season. Great to see, and he's played for Lancashire's second 11 a couple of times as well. The England under-19s team for the game against Sri Lanka, that features two Southport and Birkdale players, and Jack Carney and Rocky Flintoff, obviously. One of them getting more the media than the other for some reason.
Yeah, I wonder why. I put a tweet out a couple of weeks ago, and Jack Carney's not getting as much media as he should, because he's playing for more second teams around than he really should, and not getting a bloody contract. He's played for Derbyshire without a name on the back of his shirt a number of times now, which I think is wrong. By the time you play half a dozen games, surely you've got to have your name on the back of the shirt.
It's tough. We know ordering club kit is difficult. Getting the stuff to turn up on time with the right things. So Derbyshire must be struggling. It takes about 6 weeks to get it turned around.
Especially mid-season, fair comment, yeah.
Yeah, poor old Derbyshire. But I do find it amazing. You've got a lad who's in the England under-19s who doesn't have a job playing cricket. He's not. What other sport have you got? What other national sport? You've got someone who is at the peak of their game at 19 and they haven't got a club. It's just, what is that all about? Somebody's just got to give the lad a job,
Absolutely.
The pipeline needs some work. I think the club to second 11 to professional cricket needs some work.
Can you imagine the under-19s, under-21s in football being announced, and next to somebody's name it's saying the words unattached?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense in the slightest, does it? But hey, we'll keep an eye out on Jack, and we'll want to see where Jack ends up. And hey, we've got to give a shout out. It's the first chance I've had to do this as well, Hugh, I think, isn't it? Another young player who's not in the England under-19s, but we've followed very closely for the last year or so, Mr. Noah Kelly, who has now signed his first professional contract with Yorkshire. And he celebrated by doing what Noah does. He got a ton at the weekend. You couldn't ask for more, really. Could just keep scoring the runs, keep bashing away. And he's looking forward to a winter in, I think it's Melbourne, isn't he, he's going to? Yeah,
top club down there is taking Ian Cobain's spot down in Melbourne. So, I think he's got a nice deal, and it'd be some high level cricket would do him the world of good over the winter. But you do scratch your head over Noah as to why he's not playing 19s cricket. He's been pumping out the runs. It really fired last year, in particular. Without naming a few names, there's a few people who've possibly got into the 19s without the pedigree that he's and the history that he's put up. But he's not gone the private school route. He's gone stayed with his club, stayed with Driffield, cracked on through Yorkshire all the way through. I'm just you scratch your head when he's not in the 19s. But hey ho, that's I'm not a selector. I haven't seen him. I have seen him play up personally, but I've not seen everybody else. But yeah, he looks a serious talent, and people tipping him to be playing first team cricket for Yorkshire this season. He smashed Derbyshire 2s all over the place. Well, it was Derbyshire 1s really in the T20 the other day. So, it was smacking Samit Patel for 6s left, right and centre. So, so good on him. Cracking news, that is. And, I think there might be a player there to watch for many, many years.
Most definitely. And with our connections at Cricket, he'll definitely be someone we'll be looking after over the winter and seeing how he gets on down in sunny Australia, or Melbourne can be a bit sort of here and there when it comes to the weather, can't it? It's not like he's going down the route of Tando Antini, who's just decided, I'm going to go down to Brisbane because I'm guaranteed the weather. You stick in there. To give listeners head up, have a listen to this podcast, obviously, and later in the week you'll get another one from us where Mr. Tando Antini will have joined us for one of our Overseas at the Crease specials, and listen to Tando talking about his time down at Lordswood, down in Kent, and an 18 chat and some really interesting perspectives on how he's going about his cricket and what he's doing this winter and going over to Brisbane. It's just something that we know that players always benefit from, and it was a great chat with Tando the other week, wasn't it, Hugh?
Yeah, and he's only bowled 2 overs this weekend, which is a bit of a worry. I'm hoping he hasn't got injured. I haven't heard about that, so fingers crossed that's nothing more than maybe a minor niggle. But yeah, it was a great chat, and a really different sort of angle on his cricketing life.
Most definitely. Hey, let's jump into one of the other leagues as we run around. We're going to go down to, not too far from us, we're going to go to Nottinghamshire, where last year's winners, Cookney, are in 3rd place right now, behind Kimberley Institute in 2nd, who were 2nd last year, but leading from the front, Cavaliers and Carrington. And one of our old friends, Sab, scored a ton at the weekend, if I remember rightly. But, you got only 8 points between that top 3. Cookney busy in the Nationals again. Kimberley Institute with a good win in the Nationals yesterday. So it's a busy old league, that one, and the players are being stretched. But interested to look at those results there, Hugh.
Yeah, Cliff, my old club, will start there. I had a chat with a few guys. My lad was playing against Notts in the week, so I was chatting with a few people around there. Radcliffe lost a few players in the winter, so I got a bit of information as these things happen from time to time. So I think that's why they're struggling. They push people up, possibly weren't quite ready for the league at the moment, so they're just struggling with that. But one of the guys did say they had a really, really good youth setup going, so they'll be there to bounce back fairly soon. So we'll keep an eye on Radcliffe in the coming years. But yeah, they're continuing to struggle this season. 165 all outs, and Hucknall got them 1 down. Then to Cavs. Cavs also having a good youth team. I think they're in the under 13 through to the national stage of the under 13 cup, which good for them, which has caused a few fixture congestion issues around with me. But we've got them beating West Bridgefordians. They put 287 up Cavs and bowled West Bridgeford out for 210. Yeah, with Sav Pereira 124 off 117 balls. Sam King in reply 95 off 77. Plumtree beat Welbeck with a very slightly rain-reduced game, getting 175 for 3, chasing 178. I think they had two overs reduced, but they made it very easily. Ben Bowering for Welbeck, 41 top scoring, but Seb Menshausen, 82 off 120 to get the job done for Plumtree. Attenborough, who I think have been a bit of a surprise package for me. I was expecting them to really struggle this year. They seem to lose a lot of players in the winter, but actually have been doing pretty well and solidly mid-table after just surviving last year. They bowled out for 166 and Courtney got those pretty easily. Tom Rowe 104 off a rather rapid 51 balls. Joe Worrell 3 for 26.
Yeah, I was watching that one on Play Cricket. I was wondering whether they had their eyes on it starts at 10:30 in the morning. I wonder if they just had eyes on the 5 o'clock England kickoff.
Well, there's a lot of early games this weekend. I think virtually everybody was trying to shift games forward earlier or just throwing their wicket away so they could get home. God knows why anybody wanted to get home and watch it. I mean, I've not watched a huge amount of football, but it's not been a classic tournament, and England in particular have not exactly put bums on seats. But yeah, anyway, we're all...
Let's be honest, what everyone could have done was started normal time, played normal game, and then just watched the penalty shootout. It would have been so much easier, wouldn't it? Who needs to do all this ringing round Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week to reorganise it? It's England, for God's sake. We know what we're going to watch.
Yeah, no, it wasn't pretty. But yeah, Notts and Arnold... they were bowled out 479, chasing 195 there. And Kimberley, that was a really good game. Papua Kalimbi put up 244 and Kimberley got there. with 2 balls remaining. But I think they needed something like, 28 from the last 2 overs. And so really, really great finish from Kimberley to get them over the line. Papwick, Ben Trevor Jones, 73 off 114. And Zemus Deploy, 63 from 75. But I think George Bacon, 32 off 18 towards the end was the clincher there.
Yeah, and clearly put Kimberley in good stead for the Nationals the following day. Tom, we've got to the quarter-final stage now of the National knockout. Without a shadow, the big game for me is the one on the 28th of July between Northern and Ormskirk, and it's a chance for Northern to get a little bit of revenge on the Lancashire Cup knockout as well, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. I think the two were drawn against each other in the first round, and one of them had to go, which is a shame from the perspective of the comp, because they're two of the best knockout sides in the region without a shadow of a doubt, and I think they're showing this year what they can do in that format. Yeah, both with very good, quite contrasting wins yesterday, but yeah, both very strong knockout sides. Kept things tight at the start against Tick Hill, restricted them to 150, and then knocked them off with a couple of 50s. Liam Gray playing the sort of anchor role, and then Alex Vincent, the Aussie, coming in at number 6, which he does very well in the cup games. Very destructive batter when he gets going. And Ormskirk, again, I was talking to their captain Gary this morning, and he was saying that they made 202 from their 32 overs at Woodlands in Bradford, and been the best side, one of the best sides in Yorkshire for some time. And the home side, obviously, with them knowing the patch, they were quite confident coming off that 202 from 32 overs wasn't going to be enough. Sam Marsh, who got all the wickets on Saturday, pulled up after 2 balls of a spell as well, which didn't help. But they kept them at arm's length throughout. They kept the run rate down. They kept putting scoreboard pressure on them, and they kept them. I think they needed 15 off the last over, and they ended up losing a couple of wickets and holding out, and not having enough to get over the lines. Two very good, very different kinds of performance, and it'll be interesting to see how that one goes on the 28th, like you say.
Big game, and can we just say once again, George Harris in there at the end, scoring the runs for Northern. He hung on a few weeks ago, and we gave him some kudos then. For a young lad to come in and score the runs at that time. Good on him again. Definitely,
he was there at the end with Vincent at the other end. He does have some shots as well. He's a good young batter. I think he showed a side to his game the other week at Ormskirk that not many people his age would have, and sort of the patience and the application to take it out when that was what the situation demanded. Yeah, it's a good sign that he can be adaptable and play the way that's needed for the situation.
Yeah, definitely one to watch.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Talking of one to watch, he's just joined us now, and he knew I was coming to him straight away then. Welcome once again. It's time for that performance of the week with CricX. Mr. Matt Taff, how you doing, mate?
Not too bad. How's everyone?
We're all good. How was your weekend?
Mixed emotions, really. We won't talk about yesterday. Got 1-by-1 wicket on Saturday. That perked it up a little bit.
Yeah, and were you following how your mate Zach got on over the weekend as well?
Yeah, he had a good one. Could have done with him for Lytham over the weekend, but he had a good game for the Bears, didn't he? So that's good to see.
Definitely. Hey, let's get stuck into those batters, shall we? And have a look at what the CricX batters have been doing over the weekend, mate.
Yeah, so leading the way again, familiar name, Avishka Tharindu, another 100. He's gone 121 off 90 balls for Bracebridge Heath. Johan Mendes for Pugsy Kongs, 119. Dushan Vimukti, 109, not out for Townville against New Farnley in another high-scoring game over there. And then South African Wesley Marshall for Cookfield against Preston Nomads, 108. And then that really is the main batters from our players this weekend.
Bit of a struggle for your lot this weekend then.
Yeah, it's like just looking down, there's been an awful lot of 70s and 60s, but not the usual hundreds we used to be reading out, but these some good performances nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. I think the game that you pointed out there, though, which just does need a bit of a shout, that game up in at New Farnley again, high-scoring ground, New Farnley anyway, New Farnley scoring 307, but Townville chasing it down with 313, winning by 7 wickets, and Dushan Vimukti, he just seems to be a name that comes up week in, week out for you guys, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really is. Like you say, we'll talk about him when we get onto the bowlers as well, because he's backed it up with some wickets in the first innings. But yeah, he's definitely going to be on a few clubs' radars over the winter for next season. So it'll be interesting to see if Townville can keep hold of him.
Definitely. Hey, what have we got elsewhere around the rest of the country, Hugh, when it comes to batters?
Well, I'll touch on Dushan Vimukti there. He's second in the country in runs, in Premier League runs, with 681 runs. Striking at 110. So there's only Sam Evans above him at Leicester Ivanhoe in the whole of the country. So he's, no wonder he keeps popping up. But yeah, on the all-rounders report as well, he's certainly doing all right. I've just run my all-rounders report here, and he's number one all-rounder in the country, 27 wickets to go with his 681 runs. He's a fair bit clear of second place in my all-rounders half-assed calculation. But yeah, so I think he is the number one performer in the country this season. If you want anybody in your team, it's him. But yeah, in terms of this week, highest scores, we've got Bishano Kanderu, 174 from 137 balls for Scunthorpe against Market Deeping. And Josh Sperrin was a name that jumped out at me. Bracebridge Heath against Netherland, both of those were in the Links League, which managed to dodge the weather. But yeah, Josh Sperrin has had a bit of a nosy. His 153 is his highest ever score, is only his second 100. And last year he averaged 16 with a top score of 46. So he's having some seasons, he's averaging 38 across all leagues. He's not a first team regular either. He's in and out of the first team. Opened the batting this weekend, 153. So congratulations to Josh there with his best ever performance. Third, Max Mayer, who's overseas amateur for Clifton against West Horton in the Greater Manchester League. He's a South African overseas. And then Marcus Ackerman, very, very quick fire, 148 off just 84 balls for Chorley in the Northern Premier League. A hell of a performance there for Chorley and for Marcus. And then number 5, 136 not outs for Lawrence Walker, Sanford against Exmouth in the Devon League. Just looking down at how many hundreds, obviously we lost quite a few games this week. So we had 39 hundreds this weekend, all up.
So a busy weekend in some parts of the country, and other parts completely wiped out again, unfortunately. So what about your bowlers? How did they fare in this weather weekend, Matt?
Yeah, they've gone better than the batters this weekend. Leading the way is Wigan's professional Avinash Yadav, 7 for 50 against New Brighton. Left arm spin again leading the way this week. Barika Shanjiwa for Conisborough, he's gone 6 for 47. Afghanistan left arm spinner Zohaib Zamangtail for Martin against Middlesbrough, he's gone 5 for 25. Nazim Siddiqui, 5 for 29 for Plymouth. And then Mohit Jangra for Highfield against St Helens Town, he's gone 5 for 35. And then again, touching on from Dushan, he's 100. First innings took 4 for 78 against New Farnley. And then, like you say, let the bat do the talk in second innings. But that sums us up for the bowlers.
Cheers, Matt. And then in the rest of the country, we've already mentioned who's top, but do you want to go with the top again? But on the bowlers there, Hugh?
I got it. Well, I'll start with we got 61 fifers. Obviously, essentially 6 or 7 leagues completely washed out. So not quite the number of fifers and centuries as in other weekends. But yeah, so Sam Marsh right at the top there, 9 for 18, best figures, as we touched on, in the country this summer, or this year. We'll forget summer. So the great performance there. That Ormskirk against Formby, and then Ben Pilling for Shaw, 8 for 60. Shaw against Flixton, the Greater Manchester League. And then we've got 2 7-fers, Guy Emmett and Avinash Yadav, who we've mentioned already, with 7 for 50. Guy Emmett, 7 for 39. That's Roe Green against Egerton. And then, a series of 6-fers, but the best of the 6-fers was Drew Habron, again in the Links League, 6 for 8 off his 6.5 overs. So, yeah, he's tidy effort there from Drew Habron.
What was the best of the fifers in the country this weekend, Hugh?
Best fifer, 5 for 11, Alex Barker, Birkenhead against New Brighton.
Yeah, I thought so. So there's some big numbers there coming from the Liverpool competition over the weekend. I've got to say, there was also a 5-for-4 the following day on the Sunday, wasn't there, Matt?
But we said we weren't talking about it.
So just for those who, we do like to have a bit of banter with Matt, and Lytham played Liverpool yesterday in one of the games to make up for the weather, basically, wasn't it? I think it's fair to say the lads at Lytham wish they hadn't bothered, because Liverpool scored 220 for 4 and Lytham were bowled all out for 33. One of those days, is it fair to say, Matt?
Yeah, it was. It was men against boys. We had a bad day, and they had a very good day out at the office. So credit where credit's due.
Yeah, and let's look at it very carefully. You didn't have Crofty, you didn't have Zach Pogge. So to be fair, you didn't have a full side either.
No, we definitely didn't. We weren't making up the numbers on Sunday, but again, it's no excuse really to put in a performance like that. But we've played them again this Saturday, coming at their spot. So it'll be interesting to see how we go. Not asked for availability yet, so we'll soon find out come Thursday when we do selection.
Do you find availability for going to Liverpool to play on one of the best batting tracks in the country is normally quite good, though?
No. No, we're struggling this year with availability, so hopefully we can get aside and try and turn them over at their place on Saturday.
Hey, most definitely. Once again, everyone, as always, every week we'll put on our Twitter feed some of the best bowlers, batters and all-rounders from around the country for the Cricket Performance of the Week. I have a feeling that there might be a Dushan Vermouthke on this week, because we almost need to just put him on there weekly, don't we, at the moment? He's just the most consistent on there, definitely. So, hey, we'll put that out and let's see who wins that ECB Performance of the Week with Cricket.
Yeah. I just want to jump in there, just for those wanting to look at that Lytham game. It's all been live streamed, and you can clip up each wicket, happily away. So just it's there for all to enjoy. Just study how you.
I'm going to finish this segment by saying that's not me, Matt.
Got a decent ball, to be fair. Took the edge, caught first slip. Not much you can do.
Yeah.
I haven't looked yet, but what sort of bowler was he?
Left arm spinner.
Of course he was.
Yeah.
On that note, Mr. Matt Taft, thank you very much for your time once again, and we look forward to catching up with you next week.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers, Matt.
Cheers, Matt.
I mean, has he got out to a left arm orthodox every week?
Tom, Liverpool District competition. Is there a club without a slow left armer?
It's funny you should say that. Last time I was on, I tipped Lee for the title, didn't I? It's not been happening for them at all. I think the problem has mainly been the top order hasn't been getting runs, but they don't have a slow left armer. They've got Matty McKinnon, obviously, who turns it away from left-hander. I don't think you can say that they're lacking in the spin department when they've had a recently retired professional leg spinner. They're the only team I can think of in the Prem without a slow left armer at all.
Yeah, but the irony being top of the league, Sam March at Ormskirk, he certainly ain't a spinner, is he?
Yeah, I think the leading wicket taker in the comp this year is Matthew Keogh at Wallasey, managing to outbowl Summit Burka. He's a right-arm seamer as well. I think it's been a year. Alex Baker, you mentioned at Birkenhead Park, who got the 5 for 11. He's a seamer as well. He's quite tall and quick. Yeah, it's been a year for seamers, definitely.
Definitely a bit of a topsy-turvy one. Hey, just talking of spinners, I've just got to point out another game that sort of came to my attention, and we mentioned him last week, funnily enough, and he's done it again. In the Sussex League, there was a remarkable game down at Bognor Regis, where Bognor Regis won the toss and elected to field, and East Grinstead went out and put 210 on the board, which included 83 for Tom Hindley. Scored a 50 last week. He's done another one. He's moved back down from Nottinghamshire down after university. He's gone back home to East Grinstead. Bognor Regis then chasing that 210 with 207 all out, which doesn't sound like a big story until you actually see the ball by ball and see what cracked off there, and realise that the last 4 overs went as following: 1 run for 1 wicket, 0 runs, 1 run, 1 run for 1 wicket. They got within 3 runs of winning the game, and they had 4 overs at the end without taking 2 runs and 2 wickets. They just got, in Tom's words, I was messaging him over the weekend, they just kept taking wickets. And it just went from what should have been an easy defeat, inverted commas, to we've got away with this one, lads, haven't we? Definitely. To be fair, East Grinstead do need, because they were pretty low in the table as well, weren't they?
Yeah, we had 2 ties this weekend as well, haven't we? We had a tie in the Derbyshire League, Wollaston Cutthorpe ended in a tie, and then in the Yorkshire Premier League North, Sheriff Hutton Bridge against Hull Zingari. Hull Zingari were chasing 199 off a rain-reduced 32 overs. They needed, I think it was 10 to tie, 11 to win off the final over. Dot ball, 4-2 out. So we're thinking game done, 3 required. Ball needs to go to the fence wide, which everyone's just going, and then 2 to tie the match. So yeah, that wide. You're not very happy with that wide, are you? Yeah.
We're seeing some good ones the last few weeks now, aren't we? Definitely seeing some good ones in the middle.
I'm disappointed. This one's not straight. I'm disappointed it's not straight. It would have been interesting to see that wide. Hopefully it's leg side. We'd play leg side wides or whatever. But hopefully it's not a contentious wide.
Most definitely.
But yeah.
Get stuck into another league that's just round the corner from Mr. Tom Evans. We're going to go to his next door league, the Cheshire County Cricket League. I still find it quite fascinating that people in the Liverpool District competition have to drive past Artese grounds to go to Colwyn Bay and out to places like that. But running at the top of the Cheshire County League is Hyde. But the last year's winners, Alderley Edge, I'm going to say languishing, I think is the best way to put it, in 7th place. Didsbury, who came runners-up last year, a very strong club, are still in the national competition as well, I think. They are in 3rd place. Quite an interesting league, that one this year again, isn't it, Hugh?
Yeah, last year was incredibly close. Anyone could seem to have beaten anybody last year, but it doesn't seem to be playing out quite this way at the moment. There's a bit of a gap emerging. Toft at the bottom are well short, and you've got Neston second bottom. Bit of a gap there, but they're still in the hunt there. And then there's a few teams not in form. Grappenhall not in form at the moment. They seem to be putting a series of losses together. But yeah, no, it's a bit of fun and a little bit lopsided. A couple of lopsided games this weekend, but also some very good ones. So all got played as far as I can see. So yeah, it was. We'll start at the top. So the Didsbury game, Didsbury bowled out for 106, Nantwich 110, Thomas Huffel 32 for Didsbury, Simon McGarver 60 off 35, and Jimmy Warrington 5 for 26 for Nantwich, doing the job for them. Hyde and Grappenhall, Hyde put up 260, and then Grappenhall 111 all out. Nelson does for them. Luke Young 122 for Hyde, and not a huge amount in reply from Grappenhall.
Can I point something out in that Grappenhall innings, though? Clearly the skipper took it upon himself to try and bat for the draw. Ben Boda, 15 not out off 65 balls in 87 minutes. And he ran out of partners. And we talked strike rate earlier. Ben, 23.08 strike rate. Well done, mate.
He'll be loving that. But yeah, we got moving on to Neston Alderley Edge. So that's Alderley Edge got over the line by 1 wicket. A very, very close game. I think possibly a bit rain reduced. Difficult to say from the scorecard, but yeah, so Neston 170 in 38 overs. And then Alderley Edge got there with a few overs to go, but just the 1 wicket in hand. So a very tight finish there. We've got Luke Jones, 40 from 41 balls for Neston, Sam Perry, 30 from 59 for Alderley Edge, and Daniel Fesmire, 3 for 47. It's getting the job done for Alderley. Timperley Oxton, highest scoring game in the league this weekend, 283 Oxton for 8, and then Timperley ran out of time and it finished in a draw, 270 for 8 there. Viraj Saratha, 93 from 116, with Jonathan Fowler 4 for 75, and then Luke Filer 119 off 99 balls for Oxton, and Chris Stenhouse 4 for 57 with the top performers for them. Toft Bowden, Toft 199 for 7, chasing 270. So that one drawn as well. Rohan Fernando 77, and Sid Mahadevan 94 off 131. Rob Lord 4 for 41, and then Widnes Chester Broughton Hall was a nice, fairly straightforward for Chester Broughton Hall, chasing 174. Again, it looks rain reduced, so they got there with about 5 overs to go. All in all, with a couple of 50s for each team.
Yeah, just a couple of bits of admin from the Cheshire League, just I picked up myself. Well, firstly, I mentioned Didsbury was still in the Nationals. Actually, they got beat by Kimberley Institute yesterday in the national knockouts. They've had a decent run to get to that stage, but they got knocked out there, and they can now concentrate on the league. And the other one, just heads up, I hope Grappenhall will have a better evening on Thursday this week in the Cheshire T20, who they play in Bowden, who had a good weekend when it comes to scoring runs, because I'm coming up to see Grappenhall on Thursday night. And I don't want to see a strike rate of 23.08 in a T20. So look forward to being at Grappenhall on Thursday.
I think I've had a lower strike rate than that this season. I had a block out session earlier in the year. So yeah, I'm all for that.
I'm not.
I think I got 10 off 20 overs, something like that. So yeah, we won the game though. So you know.
It's the points that count, isn't it? Definitely.
Absolutely.
How much are you seeing? Shall I call it just continuous similarities in the Liverpool comp this year, Tom? In terms of a lot of other leagues, it's a bit topsy turvy. The comp doesn't seem that way this year. It just seems to be the same ones. I remember in our preview episode we talked about the amount of different winners over the years and stuff like that. It's not happening, is it, this year?
No, I think at the halfway stage, Ormskirk are better placed than any defending champions have been for a long time. To repeat the feat, I'd make them favourites at this stage. But a lot can happen in the second half of the season, and you never know if the way Rainford are going, a couple of crucial wins. I think they've all got to play each other still, obviously only halfway through the seasons. But yeah, I think. I think it's fair to say that, two of the top three teams are the ones everyone expected to be in the top three, and they're always there or thereabouts. It's just whoever comes out on top has varied a bit over the last few years. And you had teams like Wallasey the other year had a one-off great season, and then struggled a bit last season. Struggling in a similar way this season as well. Bootle won the league in 2019 and probably got relegated in 2021. It's but again, in each of those two seasons, Ormskirk and Northern, I think, was sharing second and third between them every time. They're never that far away from it, and I think that's what it's going to be again this season. It's just a bit more of a toss up than it usually is about which one comes out on top. I think when I've been doing this in the past, by this stage of the season, even only halfway through, it's usually more likely to be a two-horse race. Three teams very much involved in the conversation this year.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's halfway through, does it? It feels like we're sort of further ahead. But yeah, this is basically bang on halfway, aren't we? And so there's still a lot of cricket to play.
Yeah. I think at the other end as well, I think New Brighton are really struggling.
I was going to say that. The other end's very tight, isn't it? New Brighton are a little bit away. Then you got 4 or 5 teams from Lee in 7th place with 111 points down to Birkenhead Park in 11th with 101 points. Who's going to go down? We've got no idea right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sign anyone's season away here, but I think New Brighton, there's an acceptance that they're always going to struggle this year, and they have been. They're blooding a lot of young players, a lot of inexperienced players, and like we said about the 15-year-old lad who got tonked for 100, they're going to be better players for it. I think no one will come out and say this, but I think they're going to be better players in Division 1 next year. I don't think there's much doubt about that. But yeah, the other clubs, they can all beat each other as well. That's the thing, they've all got match winners, but they've also all got their fragilities. So it'd be interesting to see. I think Lee and Rainhill have both got 4 wins each. I think they will be disappointed to get sucked into a relegation battle. Everybody else, is definitely going to be in the conversation. Southport and Birkdale, Wigan and Birkenhead Park, like you say, they're going to be. It's interesting to see how that one plays out.
Yeah, it'd be very. I think once we get to the end of July, we'll have a better feel for it. Just fortunately, this year it seems more than ever the ins and outs of the weather could make a difference one way or the other, couldn't it?
Definitely. As always, it depends who you get rained off against, and you have to take both ends of the table. You get 5 points from a game that you were on course to lose, or that you were definitely going to win, and it can affect you either way.
Yeah, definitely. Let's jump across the border as such again into another one of your local leagues and finish off with our league roundup this week in the Lancashire Cricket League, where there was an abandoned game there, funnily enough, yesterday. They played on Sunday. Apart from the abandoned game, there was a lot of results across the board there, wasn't there, Hugh? And you're running at the top of the Lancashire League right now. Darwin are 20 points ahead of last year's winners, Burnley. Last year's runners-up, though, Littleborough, are in bottom place. Now, that's one of the biggest shocks around the country right now. But what else have you seen over the weekend there, Hugh?
Yeah, it was I think the top score 255 Lower House versus Haslingden, but the second highest score was 169, plays 162, and then that was the sort of the state of affairs. Obviously, weather affecting things, but they're pretty good at getting the games done in Lancashire. They're pretty experienced in getting the games done, aren't they? Bottom of my list, but Rochdale, Norden. Rochdale bowled out for 169 in 43 overs, and then a reduced overs effort from Norden. They got over the line to get that done for 8. I think they needed 40 overs. Yeah. Got a couple of Harling 62 off 119, Humphreys 46 for Norden, and Butterworth 6 for 52 in their efforts. Littleborough, Middleton, I think this is rain reduced as well. We've got Littleborough 163 for 8 in 50 overs, and then a reduced target of 149 from 40, and they got that easily, Middleton, in 31 overs. Mm-hmm. We've got Hasib Hamid up there again for Littleborough, 34 of 69. Wasn't enough, and James Tierney, 44 from 42. James Price, 36 from 62. Got the job done there. Haslingden Lower House, that's the big scorer with Lower House 255 for 6, and Haslingden bowled out for 116. We've got a good effort from Ben Heap with 82, getting the job done for Lower House. Darwin, Church and Oswald Twistle, another rain-reduced one. Darwin got it done by 6 wickets. Church and Oswald Twistle 123 for 7, and then Darwin needed 127 from 35 and got it done with 10 overs to spare. Clitheroe, Enfield, that was a write-off. Started there. Feel for 12 for 1. So you always feel in those kind of situations, you feel for Thomas Lord there, out for 3. Everyone else either didn't bat or got a red ink. So, it's always a bit of a painful one, that. And then Burnley, Todmorden. We got Todmorden finished on 103 for 7, and revised target for Burnley, 113 from 38, and they got it in 21, which is always a bit of a head scratcher, that one. But hey-ho, they got the job done very easily, so big win for Burnley.
We'll be looking at some of the other leagues in the coming weeks as well, as we're sort of at the halfway stage now, and you and I are talking about doing potentially a roundup of what's going on around the leagues, and we'll see what we pull together for you. But just one name that came up in the Lancashire League there and relatable to Tom. You had the pleasure last week, Tom, of spending, I'm going to say pleasure, 4 days, but 2.5 days of cricket, 1.5 days of rain at Southport and Birkdale, where the lads put on a phenomenal show in terms of putting the ground together, getting it all ready for what was Jimmy Anderson's, effectively, potentially his farewell for Lancashire.
Potentially, he's not been drawn, and no one at Lancashire, I don't think no one knows whether he's going to carry on playing for Lancs after his England farewell. But it was quite something to be part of. I think it's great that spell of his where he took 6 wickets in consecutive overs, one of the all-time greats of the world game, let alone the county championship. And it was great that happened at an outground. It was great that Southport and Birkdale got to put that on and got to, the fans who were there got to experience that. It's a shame that the weather ruined any chance for results. The last day was a bit of an anticlimax, really. I think it was. Joe Clark got a bit of a facile 100 at the end to sort of block out for the draw. Because Keaton Jennings on the first day was spectacular as well. One of the best things I've seen in a long time. That in difficult conditions to start with, certainly the way he went through the gears was incredible to see. And then obviously Anderson on day 3. A privilege to be at I was sort of at the fine leg boundary in the press centre for that spell. It was it's amazing.
The guy was he 41 at Jimmy? How does that spell look? If you hadn't seen the lad before, are you picking him for England? You know what I mean?
Hang on. Before you answer, Tom, let's get this right. Tom was actually fielding at fine leg because he managed to stop the ball a number of times. Now, most fielders at fine leg, he was sat down in the press tent to the side. I haven't got the best view of this bowler called Jimmy Anderson, have they really?
They've also normally had a few scoops.
Go on, Tom. What did you think?
Journalists would never do such a thing while they're at work, obviously. It's difficult to say, obviously, because I think a lot of the spell was that he was in the batter's heads when he started taking wickets, that, you could almost sense that something special was happening, and how that must feel as a batter to walk out, not just thinking, this is a very good county bowler I'm facing. This is literally one of the best seamers the world has ever seen, and he's on form. And he's doing his thing. I think, not to put a down note on what he did, but I think the way the rest of the game panned out for Anderson was a little bit more sort of illustrative of where he is in his career. He had to spend a lot of Tuesday afternoon he spent off the field. His second innings, well, he was still good. He was still beating the bat. He was still on the money. He was noticeably down in pace. Now, some of that could be because the pitch was sort of losing a bit of its life. But I think there's sort of an indication there that he didn't look 41 on Tuesday morning when he was charging around in the covers. He was he was having to stop the ball and pinging it back into the wicketkeeper between overs, even during his spell. But I think it is taking it out of him more than it used to, and that's only to be expected. He's still a great bowler for his first spell. I think I'm not saying I necessarily agree with the decision to move him on from Test matches. I can see where the ECB are coming from and thinking that they need to look somewhere else because you can't pick a bowler to lead your attack in a Test match on the basis of how good his first spell is. I
remember watching him when I was in Australia for the first time. I think it was just he got picked for the one day series, and I'd never heard of this lad. I think did he bowl? You get six wickets. I can't remember the match, but he went for virtually no runs in his in a one day match. He went for about 10 or 12. I was like, who is this lad? Fantastic, because they had such an awful tour, and it was that was the highlight for me of that sort of winter, the one day series. Things changed since then, obviously. It was great to see that. And, you just wouldn't expect he's still going. That was 2003, I think, when I saw that. So that's we're looking at 21 years later, and we still play.
Now the big question is, though, let's bring it back round to Premier League cricket. Is Jimmy going to do a Darren Stevens? Is he going to ply his trade for Burnley in the Lancashire League? Because Darren Stevens, with that cheat code he's got down there in Kent, is still playing it really nicely for, is it St Lawrence and Highland?
I think it's High Court, yeah.
Is Jimmy going to put his boots on and have a run out at Burnley once or twice? That could be a... can you imagine Burnley's cricket ground backs onto the football ground, and they're notorious for having some great fans from opposition teams on the sidelines towards the end of the season when the cricket's coming towards the end of football started. Can you imagine if Jimmy's rocking up for Burnley there and, I don't know, let's just pick a club, Man City away at Burnley and all the City fans are cheering him for it. The possibilities are endless at his age. And Tom Evans has said it. Rob Key's got it right by the sounds of it. You can see them moving on. That's the headline now for this podcast, by the way. But he clearly could more than do a job at Premier League level, couldn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I sent a message to David Snellgrove, the Southbourne Birkdale captain for this season, saying, look, Jimmy clearly likes this wicket and he's going to be at the other side after.
That's a good shout, because Southport are losing a Flintoff every now and again for England duty. So while they're losing a Flintoff for under-19 duty, bring Jimmy in instead. I think that's a good shout, actually.
To be fair, I think the Flintoffs don't usually turn out for the club during the school term. I think it's more of a, I think they play for the school more often when that's in session. But yeah.
What did Snelly say?
He sent me the crying, laughing emoji.
We can leave it there. I think Burnley have got more chance of signing than Southport and Birkdale. Definitely.
I'm just looking here at Burnley's fixtures. We've got a Burnley Blackburn on the 31st of August. I'm just saying, if Burnley are at home, it doesn't look like they are. That would have been good, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the derby.
Well, we'll see. I can't see it at the moment, but yeah, that would be good. Jimmy Anderson at one end and Burnley Blackburn at the other.
Absolutely. Hey, been great to catch up once again, Tom. The Liverpool District, without a shadow, is one of the most interesting leagues in the country again this year. There's some cracking stuff going on there, and I'll urge anyone, as I always do, who follows this pod, if you want to follow someone on Twitter and follow his blog on a Saturday when he's at the ground as well, follow Tom Evans, and you'll have the pleasure of his commentary on Twitter on his blog on whichever ground he's at a weekend. So thanks for your time again, Tom.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Hugh.
Cheers now. Cheers, Hugh, and we'll catch you all next week. Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.